written and recorded in the book of 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter, beginning with verse number 16, and it reads as follows. Then came there 2 women that were harlots unto the king and stood before him. And the one said, O my Lord, I and this woman dwell in one house, and I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the 3rd day after I was delivered, that this woman was delivered also. And we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we 2 in the house. And this woman's child died in the night, because she overlaid it. And she arose at midnight, and took my son from beside me, while that handmaiden slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I rose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. But when I had considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is mine. The dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. Then the king said, the one said that this is my son that liveth, and thy son is dead. And the other said, Nay, but thy son is dead, and my son is living. And the king said, Bring your sword. And they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, Divide the living child in 2, and give half to the one, and half to the other. Then spake the woman whose living child was unto the king, for her bowels yearned upon her son. And she said, O my Lord, give her the living child, and in no wise slay it. But the other said, Let it neither be mine nor thine, but divided. Then the king answered and said, Give her the living child. That's right. And no wise slay it. She is the mother thereof. You may be seated in the presence of God. I'd like to teach for a moment. I'd like to teach on Sunday the love, a mother's love. Talk about a mother's love. The love of a mother. For the birds have nests in the top of the tree, and foxes have holes in the ground. But the Son of Man, he don't have nowhere just to lay Marmalade. Told me the name was Marmalade. Verily I say to you, must be born again.
Hallelujah.
On this day that has been set aside in America to honor, to celebrate, and remember all mothers. This day can be one of mixed emotions. The reason is because it brings some joy, and to others, sometimes it brings sadness. It is a day of joy for most of those who have been blessed to have a living mother. If mother's living, you are blessed. For those whose mother has gone on from this world, it can be a day of sadness. But in spite of the circumstances, we all have something to be thankful for. Those who have been blessed to have a living mother should be thankful. Those whose mother was going on should be somewhat thankful as well. Thankful for the time that God had allowed us to spend with our mothers. For we still have the memories of those special times that we shared together. You know, there's a lot of things and sometimes people that are sometimes forgotten. But no matter how long their mother has been gone, she's never forgotten. Not good mother. And we all know that we have, and we have had fathers as well. But it's just something about a mother's love. It is said that a mother would do almost anything for a child. Some would even say that there are some things that a mother would do for a child that a father won't do for her. Especially when they warn them rascals about what they're going to not get in a bunch of stuff and they go out and get caught up in something. But being disobedient and end up in jail somewhere. But no matter, but that mother, she'll say, I know what was said, but that's my child. I'm going to get my child. That's a mother's love. In the second chapter of this book, 1 Kings, we see the conclusion of David's reign in his life. Here, David gives Solomon, his son, a charge on his deathbed. He says, son, serve God. In the beginning of Solomon's reign, though he was to be a prince of peace, he began his reign with some remarkable acts of justice upon Adonijah, whom he put to death for his aspiring pretensions, upon Abiathar, whom he disposed from the high priest position because he sided with Adonijah, upon Joab, who he put to death for his late treasons and the murders that he had committed, upon Shimei, whom for cursing David he confined him to Jerusalem. And 3 years after that, for transgression against Jerusalem, he put him to death. But here in our text we see where King Solomon was presented with a situation that concerns two women, two mothers. And both of the women had given birth to their sons. And the writer tells us that these two women were harlots. They were both living together in the same household. In other words, they were street workers. And we know now as prostitutes. The New Testament word for harlots is one called prone, P-O-R-N-E, which means in the King James Version, it is inconsistently sometimes mentioned as whore or harlot. Right? So it was against the law for parents to force their daughters to become harlots. And you'll find it in Leviticus 19:29 down there. And the priests, they were not allowed to marry a harlot. And I think that's in Leviticus 21:7. The wages of harlotry were not to be brought into the temple, the money they made, to pay their vow. And this prohibition was necessary to to keep the worship of the Lord free from the impurities of sins that a harlot committed. Now, the actual punishment of harlots was severe when it was enforced. In the book of Genesis, around the 38th chapter, 24th verse, Judah ordered Tamar to be burned for being a harlot. Yeah. And Leviticus 21:9, he commanded the priest's daughter to be burned because she had played the harlot. Deuteronomy 22:21, they ordered a stoning of a bride that had been playing the harlot. Yes. So a common sin needed to be guarded against, they believe. So the situation in Corinth, if you read the book of Corinth, Paul had a situation that was there, that the Apostle Paul had to give the Christians there some special warning against fornication with harlots. Now, so we understand that being a harlot was a dangerous thing, physically and spiritually. Yeah. Spiritually, because the people took their allegiance from Jehovah and gave it to idols instead. Yeah. He called it going whoring after other gods. Yes. And playing with the harlots of other gods. Yeah. And also the spiritual harlotry is mentioned several times in the book of Revelation, around the 17th chapter. And although our text makes us aware that these women were harlots, it also lets us know that they both were mothers. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mothers. Yes. In our text, it gives us an indication to me that no matter what kind of life a woman might live, she still has been given the privilege to be a loving mother for her children. Yeah. Peter, that quotes the scripture, shows the love of a mother. And not one of these women was willing to give up a child, although one of them knew that it wasn't her child. Come on. Now, this kind of nature is not only found in humans, but it also happens in animals. You know, you'll find the mothers of animals sometimes will take on the baby of another animal. Yeah. So, but you might wonder, how can a person take the life of their own children? Come on. Yeah. We know it happened. Yeah. But we heard it taking place here. Yeah. Matter of fact, it took place in my hometown. Michael and Susan Smith, she's from Union. Yeah. When she took the two boys' life, mother killing their own children. And I'm led to believe that it's not the lack of love of the mother, but I believe that it's the light of Christ within the mother that caused him to do something like that. If you haven't been born again, you're not Christ. And when you're not Christ, guess who you are? That's right. You're Satan. And it's sad, but Satan can persuade some of his people to do some things that are unbelievable. Notice I didn't say make them, but persuade them. That old saying that says the devil made me do it is not so. The devil can't make you do anything. All he do is present it to you, and it's upon you to act on it, whether you do it or not. Yeah. And it's not the light of love that causes us to sin. It's the light of Christ within us that causes us to sin. When I think of this mother's love, it calls, sometimes, it causes them to go out to do things for their child. It causes them to go without having because their child could have it. A mother's love. Sometimes the mother stay up all night long with a sick child. When everybody else is going to bed. She's holding the child in her arms, making sure that the child knows that it's not alone. But here in our text we find two mothers who had given birth to their sons, but unfortunately there was an accident that took place that caused the death of one of the boys, in which the mother didn't want to accept. She didn't want to face the fact that a child was now dead. Now being a harlot was not a pleasing life. They would go from man to man, and because of their reputation, it was tarnished by society, which caused men not to want them to be their woman. That was just something that they had to do, right? Like a piece of meat, just pass it around. Now, I don't know why this woman would do what she did. And maybe it was because finally she had a son, with hopes that the man child would grow up to be somebody that she would be proud of. A son that would take care of her, so she wouldn't have to live a lifestyle of prostitution anymore. To them felt as if this was a ticket out of a poverty-stricken life. One where she wouldn't have to sell her body just to live. But whatever her motives were, it drove her to do something that was unthinkable. Yeah. Upon learning her child was dead over in the night, she took her dead child and laid it with the woman whose child was living, and took the living woman's child and put it on her breast. Yeah. And the Bible says that when the morning came, when the other woman prepared to give suck from her breast, it was then discovered that the child was dead. Yeah. But when the woman considered it, the Bible said, she realized that the child wasn't hers. Now, I don't know. I never had a baby. You know, men, we never had a baby. That's right. But I believe that a woman, when she gives birth to a child, she knows who a child is. Yeah. I just believe that. When she has held him in her arms and she has fed him from her breast, she knows her child. The Bible says because there were no witnesses in the house except these two harlots, the people didn't know whose baby was whose. Right. So they carried the case to King Solomon, and that he might give his judgment upon this matter. And when they stood before the king, one of the women began to tell her side of the story. She said, "Oh king, I and this woman dwell in the same house. And 3 days after I had my son, this woman delivered also and gave birth to a son. And there was no stranger in the house, king. It was just me and this woman. But while I slept, she rolled over on her baby and caused the child to die. And then she rose up in the night, took my son from beside me, your handmaiden, while I slept, and laid her dead son beside me, and laid my son in her bosom. And when I rose to give my son suck, behold, I discovered that the child was dead. But when I looked at the child, I realized that the child wasn't mine. He wasn't the child that I bore. But the other woman said, no. Nay, the living child is mine. And after the king heard both sides of the story, he commanded them to bring him a sword. Look at God. The king said, take a sword and cut the child in half. Give one half to one of the women. Give the other half to the other. But the woman whose child was a living child, her bowels began to yearn for a child. She said, no, Lord, give her a living child. And no wise slave. But that woman said, no, let it be thine nor mine, but divided. And I can see that mother's love keeping me. Come on, Reverend. The real love of a mother. The real mother said, before I let my son die, I give him up that he might live. Then the king said, give the child to that woman, for she is the mother of the child. But I'm reminded of another mother who was given a son by way of the Holy Ghost. There was a virgin girl from Bethlehem, Judea, by the name of Mary Magdalene. She gave birth to a son, and she called him Jesus. He was born of a virgin, but he was conceived of the Holy Ghost. She would hold him in her arms and nurse him from her breast. She would rock him to sleep in the cradle of her arms. But when he got around 12 years old, she released him into the world, that the world through the gospel might believe that he was the Son of God. But that's something about a mother's love. Mary gave up her son that we all might live. But I stopped by on my way to glory to tell you about another love. This love is one that surpasses all understanding. I read what said in the Gospel of John when he wrote about the God that we serve in John 3:16. He said, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, and whoever believes in him perish, but have everlasting life. He gave his son to die that we might live. And I heard Jesus say, greater love hath no man than he that lays life down for a friend. You ought to be glad that you're a friend of Jesus. My Bible tells me that they crucified Jesus on the cross on the hill in Calvary. From there till the sun refused to shine and hid itself behind the clouds. He hung there until the moon looked like it was dipped in blood. He hung there till the earth got dark and began to reel and rock like a drunk man. He hung there from the 6th to the 9th hour. In the 9th hour, he laid his head in the locks of his shoulder. He died on that cross. They laid him in a borrowed tomb. He did not get, he laid his life down that we might live. They didn't take his life, but he laid it down for a friend. One Friday evening, put him in a tomb that never no one had laid before. Rolled a large rock in front of the tomb. They buried him in that tomb. But 3 days later, early on that getting up morning, he got up with all power in his hand. He walked out, looked at the old man's grave and said, "Oh, grave, where is your victory?" Looked at death dead in his eyes and said, "Oh, death, where is your sting?" He got up, went down to the pits of hell, kicked the door open and said, "Where's the keys?" Got the keys, went back up on the way to glory, stopped by in the earth one more time. He said, "All of you that died in me, get up and come on." The Bible says the dead who died in Christ got up and walked down the streets of Jerusalem. Good God Almighty, we left there, went up to glory to Daddy. Here's the keys. Sit down on the right hand of the Father. He said, "In his sentence, good God Almighty, I'm glad you died that we might live." When he died, he gave me the right to go see him again. But one of these old days, he's coming back. He's coming back for his church. The Bible said when he stepped out on the cloud, one foot on the land and one foot on the sea. He gonna speak to the wind and say, "Hey, wind, of the four corners of the earth, come on, but don't blow no more. I gotta call the roll up in heaven." I don't know about you, but I'm so glad when they call the roll, I'm gonna sit right there. We gonna call Isaac, Abraham, and Jacob. Y'all get in line. Let's go to the meeting. We're gonna go back to Mark, Luke, and John. Come on, y'all. Let's go to the meeting. After a while, we gonna call my name. I'm gonna get up and go to the meeting. When I get there, I got a mother gonna be at the meeting. I didn't even know about it. Pick up my child. He's nothing out here by prayer. I'll be at the meeting. I'll see Mama again. But most of all, I'll see Jesus. 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 The one who died. Jesus. You've been a mother for me ever since my mother been gone. Jesus. I got him. Jesus. My rock in a weary land. Jesus. My bright and morning star. Jesus. My wheel in a road wheel. Jesus. My rock in a weary land. Jesus. My all in all. Jesus. My friend. Jesus. My mother Jesus. My father Jesus. My everything Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. for loving mother. Thank you, God, for being a mother.